I'm going to tell you a little bit of something about my hammock, and my dad is going to tell you the rest. I'm just going to do a little part. This is the bug net. It's supposed to keep bugs out, and this is the pole that you can connect the bug net with. Right here is the rope, and the rope is supposed to be able to stretch out, and this is the other kind of rope.
That's those straps.
Straps are supposed to stretch out really far, and these are rings. They're supposed to keep them connected. This is the tarp. Whenever you're ready to use it, you undo a strap and put it up. This is the carabiner.
Yep.
And you use it to put the strap around the tree and then hook it in so you don't have to hold it the whole time.
You hung it yourself today, didn't you? Or at least put it on the tree, and then we helped you adjust it. Go over a few more things on 2sticks hammock. This is our base camp hammock. It's a little heavier, but don't have to worry about it getting torn up. She can play in it, do whatever she wants. It is a heavy 4-ounce per square yard camo material with a second layer. It also has the bug net. We'll show you a little more close-ups here in a minute. And a hybrid quilt. This is not one of Lee's quilts. You may or may not know that Lee is my other daughter and makes quilts. This is not hers. This is one of mine. It's got climate shield in the two sides and down on the bottom. And we'll show you a few more details on that. Show you the spreader bars. They basically just clip into the aluminum pieces. The 2sticks showed you how they slide out. I made it where the smaller Easton tent poles will go on the inside, or if I want to use the 625, they'll actually slide over the outside. So if we want to have a heavier kid or something in here, I could change those poles out to some heavier poles without changing these ends out. This is pretty much a deluxe version of the hammock. It has the bug net in it. If you notice, we have a 2-layer setup, and the bug net can either just go in between those 2 layers. Don't really need a zipper. Never had a need for it, even in the buggy weather. This has worked well. Most of the time, though, we just end up letting it lay inside, just kind of free fall, and it works fine that way. I'm going to pull this back, and then we'll got the bug net pulled back now. You can see I used the Hennessy pocket organizer off one of my Hennessy hammocks on one end, and on the other end we put a net pocket. Basically, this is a place for the end of the bug net to go into, and also the stuff sacks, things like that. The inside layer is some cheap Walmart stuff. It's there mainly just to create a second layer. It's really light. And then the other layer is very heavy. I don't have to worry about her. She can play in this, not have to worry about ripping it up. Sometimes when we hike a long ways, we use a lighter version, but she has to be a little more careful. This way she has a little more fun. The quilt, like I said before, is one that I made. It's got climate shield on the 2 sides. That stays up well around the side. And then on the bottom, it just has a big down, as you can see, one big chamber with the down. I found that really works well for my personal quilts. Not something that you want, probably a commercial, be too hard to sell the value or argue that it works or doesn't work, but this allows a little more loft. You can just use a lot of down in there. It works just fine. It's kind of another overall view. You can see we kind of make up for the weight of the hammock. It weighs, I think, with the underquilt, hammock poles, everything, 2 pounds, 14 ounces. I used to think that would be really light, but now it's on the heavy side, as we all know. But it really works well she packs it in, so I don't have to carry it. And she gets, I think it's a lot more durable in the winter. It's a lot warmer setup, great for pads. She can go, I've had her in single digits with this hammock and no problems at all. We made up for some of the weight with the Cuban tarp. I had that for a couple years in different versions and cut it and done it different ways, but it works well with this hammock. And it's a great little setup, and she enjoys it, and the best thing is it gets us out hiking.
Do I look funny with 2 Jolly Ranchers in my mouth? Oh well. Well, my dad is going to show you his bridge hammock right now. Turn around.
Hey, this is Hanging Out. Don't want 2 Sticks to have all the fun. On this trip, we'd like to show you some of our gear. This is my bridge hammock. Everything I have in my hand weighs about 15 ounces. I know there are lighter versions out there, but this does include straps, suspension, everything. Straps from Pilot Arrowhead gear and cinch buckles. We'll set it up here in a second. I also have a different way of doing the end caps of the hammock that may make it easier for somebody trying to make one. We'll show you that in a minute. We'll go hang it up and then tell you a little bit more about it. We have the hammock hung right now. As you can see, the tie goat bars. We'll show you a close up here in a second. This is I usually don't use a bug net. I rarely find it necessary. It's supposed to be in the mid-40s tonight, so I don't expect any bugs. There's a few out right now. But a bug net is real optional for me. 2 Sticks uses hers more than I do. Here we can see the tie goat bar, our hiking poles, and the foot end and the head end. In a second I'll do a close-up of how we got them attached and the spacers I have on the bars. A lot of hiking poles have to have a wooden dowel inside. The tie goats really don't lend themselves to that, so I have an aluminum spacer on the outside of the bottom part of the leg. Here's a close-up of how I have the aluminum machine to go inside the tie goat bar. Then it just goes around the outside cord and kind of stays locked in. It's very easy to it's a loose fit, so it'll go in no problem at all. I'll show you the other end in just 1 second. Here's a close-up of the other end where you can see that I just have the rope where it'll tighten up around it. Basically when you pull, it just pulls in and locks in behind the little ridge. You got to make sure that it's on this side of it. You don't want to put your rope on this side because it will pull this off, and don't ask me how I know. Also, you can see on the close-up the all black is aluminum. It's the smaller Easton tent bar. I can't remember the size right off. 400 something, 0.400 something I believe. It slides perfectly over the outside leg of the tie goat pole and is almost the same diameter as the upper part of the tie goat pole. So it makes a great spacer, and you don't lose much strength by putting it in there. It's a little shorter on this end because my foot end's just slightly narrower than the head. I'll show you the end caps, which were all the bridge I've made, or always the part I dreaded the most was making the end caps. Anybody that's made a bridge, trying to get that perfect takes as much time as making the bridge itself a lot of times. You can see that this is one continuous piece of material, that the up and down is the perfect length. There's some pleats side to side, and I'll tell you how I accomplished that in just a minute. Here's the foot end. And here's the head end. I'm going to do a brief explanation on video. If anybody's interested, they can PM me, or I may try to do a little more detailed write-up where I can have some diagrams. But the bottom line is you just do an arc from strap to strap, the depth that you know that your end cap is going to be. Say if it's 16 inches at the longest point in the middle, you just go out an arc 16 inches from the middle point and make an arc. I usually just bend a pole, kind of like you do the cat cuts on a tarp, and then I edge it and run a small piece of shot cord through it. There's a couple little tricks more than that to it, but that kind of gives you the overall picture of how it's done. It works out really well. It'll stretch. It moves a little bit. You can look out the end of the bridge hammock, but it pops right back up in place and doesn't have a lot of extra material. I don't think there's much weight gain over having all the hems and seams of the other way. It could be a little bit, but it's for the time it saves. You can knock out a bridge pretty quick using this method. Since we're showing gear on this trip, I thought I'd show my cook kit. This is kind of my go-to when I just need to boil some water. I tend to change my cook kit every trip, just trying different things, just for the fun of it more than the need. But I think this whole kit right here weighed in under 8 ounces. Starts off with the Cozy Bag by Paul at Arrowhead. Does a great job. I just put my whole cook kit, everything in there. I'll stop a second and then we'll get it pulled out. Alright, this is the Heineken pot right here. This is kind of a lid I have extra on top. Got a smaller can in here for my coffee. Got a Cozy for the small can. Everything's kind of tight here. 1 ounce bottle. My homemade stove. And some backup fuel. Got a nice little lid for my smaller stove. Sometimes I heat water in that, most of the time it's with the other one. Okay, we're back. We've got the stove set up and we are going to use 2sticks fire steel to get this thing started. 2 tries, not too bad. I found this stove right here will boil water in about 4.5–5 minutes. Start the boil, and a good rolling boil by 6 minutes and go to about 8 minutes, which is great for this Heineken pot. Here we are a couple minutes in. Just kind of see the setup. It's kind of a tile stove. That's the reason I still use the stand. But it's for a Heine pot, it works the best. On the water pots, about anything seems to work. But this is a DIY backpack I made that. Second trip, it's just basically a frame with some attachment points. I got a bedroll that goes on the bottom. Allows me to put a lot of quilts, things like that in there for me, and 2sticks that normally would take up a lot of space in my ULA pack. Also, I have a bag that goes in it that acts like a panel loader. Basically, I snap it, I can lay the pack down flat and open it up, and kind of like that. There's some things I'll change about it, but this is a prototype for something I'm going to build. But this is an extra use I found for it today, and kind of like it. Allows me to hang everything around camp. Here's my new backpack I made. This is the second trip out. It's basically a along the lines of a frame or skin type pack. The bag is already packed. I only got one bag packed on it right now. That's a operates like a panel loader. It just rolls. It's a roll top bag that I can lay the pack down, roll it up, get to anything inside, then roll it back up. I always liked panel loaders, but didn't like the extra weight of the zippers, everything. So this kind of works for me. Here's the backpack with the bedroll on. 2sticks likes to sleep late, so it works out good. I can get everything else packed and then put her top quilt in when we're done. Here's the backpack in the final configuration. It's got a removable pouch on the front. Put my pad right under there. Need a sit brake or something, it's easy to get out, and that's what I use in the foot end of my hammock. The straps are from a Gregory pack. Everything else is homemade. I want to take a second and show you how I hook my tarp up. We are on a really close hang between these two trees, so it kind of is easy to show how it attaches to the tree and the line lock works. I just start by doing a kind of a figure-8 wrap, kind of like the Hennessy hammocks are hung. You don't, since it's a wrap, you can do it with gloves. You don't have to worry about it. Just wrap it up, then pull it tight against the tree when you're done. Then you can position the first end of the tarp exactly where you want it with this line lock. Then walk to the other end, do the Hennessy wrap again, which is even easier the second time because you got some tension, lots of room between the tree and the cord, so you can just, with gloves, no matter what size, you can just wrap that thing, half hitch it, no problem. And then these are very easy to pull or adjust with gloves. You just pop it loose. If you need to go a few inches one way or the other, loosen one end, tighten the other, it's just a matter of seconds. I know there's a lot of full line systems, everything out there, but this just seems to be what works best for me. And for all the dads out there that want to take their kids hiking but can't afford all the quilts and bottom quilts and everything, the top quilt's probably the easiest. This is a old sleeping bag, one of my original sleeping bags. It was a very good sleeping bag, but I didn't use it anymore, and it's found its actually third life as a top quilt for tie, 2sticks, and don't try to do anything fancy, just cut it, sew it up. They're going to outgrow it, and its life is gone anyway, but there's so many good used bags out there that you can make a fairly lightweight top quilt. This one weighs a little over a pound and is good into the 20 degrees.